Hello, welcome to the Man of Zeal. My name is Osa Daniel. I am the founder of the Man of Zeal and YouTube channel. I am glad you are here because we are geared towards empowering, inspiring men to become the best versions of themselves. So we are going to be having conversations that nobody else is willing to have. Nothing, and I mean nothing. Again, nothing is off the table. We are going to be talking about all things men, everything that concerns men in today's modern day society. And there is nothing that we're not going to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about New Year resolutions. New Year resolutions are kind of a big deal in today's society in terms of, every brand new year, in the beginning of the year, we're talking about what is it that we want to do better? What is it that, talking about goals, talking about, we have to do this. We have to live a brand new life, like the old life that we had in the last year is gone and dead and buried, that we want something brand new. And we kind of I feel like we kind of put pressure on ourselves, especially men. We kind of yes, last year was just terrible. There's nothing, I don't want to do anything with last year. Last year was cancelled for me. I want a brand new year and I want to bring brand new things. And I think that's not the way to go about it. And I feel like, we put too much pressure on ourselves. And this is one of the causes of anxiety, depression, because we put so much pressure on ourselves in terms of what it is that we want to do in the new year. And we forget about the good things that happened last year, the previous year before. We forget about what was good about that. We forget about the things that we felt like we needed to work on and the good things that we actually had. And that's all thrown out. And then we focus on, everything that happened last year, good or bad, was just gone. It should just be gone. And, we just kind of have the stress of, wanting to and get this new year in place. And it doesn't work so much like that. And I remember years ago when I actually felt the same pressure, when every new year I felt like I needed to start all over again. And it was just stressful, and it was just causing me all sorts of distress. And I felt like, it had to change. And I started working off from a place of just gratitude, just being thankful, even if the previous year was not that great, even if I wanted to achieve some certain things I wanted to, but I didn't actually achieve that. But I started off with being thankful for that year. I started off thankful, first of all, for actually coming into this new year, and when you have a thankful and grateful heart, it changes your perspective. It changes everything about how you're going to act, and it changes the way you're going to be living that next day. It just changes your perspective in a good way, basically. And I feel like that's what happened to me. I felt like it changed my perspective, it changed my thinking, changed my mentality. And I feel like, just being grateful for what he done for me, for what God had done for me the previous year, and for the good things that happened to me. And even if the disappointments was more, but it doesn't matter. I just felt a way of gratitude, and that helped me kind of take that into the new year. I want to encourage you, have a different perspective, and maybe start from a place of gratitude. And when you start from a place of gratitude, then you start to, your mind, you start to be, the joy just comes, and you start to feel like, despite the disappointment from last year, I'm just going to continue on from where last year left off, and just going to become better. And for some people, and for many people, it's always like, I need to drop some things, I need to start something new, and that's fine. But don't put too much pressure that, this year I'm going to change drastically. This year I'm going to, I'm going to have a different outlook. This year, I just feel like we should always look at the things that we started off from last year, from the year before, and look at those things. Just look at those little things that we started off. And even if it was not perfect, but we can still continue, we can still carry on doing those little things, knowing that, we're not perfect. We can never be perfect. And I feel like, sometimes when we use our strength in terms of just trying to just do things on our own strength, and making sure that we have to do this. And we feel like when we do that, we become exhausted. At some point anyways, you become exhausted, and that's why sometimes halfway around the year, a lot of people just get depressed because, you know, you've put so much burden on yourself in the beginning of the year, feeling like, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is what I need to do. This is what I was planning to do. This is where I'm going to live off from and stuff like that. And then you halfway around the year, you just find out that, you know what, wow, you're way off that mark. And there's one of two things: you actually get more anxiety, you know, you get more depressed, or you give up easily. You just feel like, you know what, I can't do this. And again, it starts the next year again. You start the same thing again the next year. You say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do this again. And you just find out that it just becomes a recurring thing. And I think this was me years back, and this is what I was doing. But I came to a place that, you know what, it's okay. I'm going to start working on goals that will give me long-term benefits. They like long-term. There will be long-term goals, and there'll be medium-term goals, there'll be short-term goals, and I was just going to carry on from that. I was going to change my whole perspective of, like, you know, I'm going to live a lifestyle that I want any moment in time, and I'm going to start from there and work towards it. It doesn't matter if it goes on to the next year, but I would just start and working on myself, even if it was just my lifestyle, my eating habits, my healthy living, like going to the gym, whatever it is, self-development, reading books, anything it was. I felt like it had to stop. Like this whole thing, like, you know what, from this year I'm going to start. No, it had to stop. I had to change my mental perspective, that you start thinking that, you know what, I'm going to start now, regardless of where I am in this year. I'm just going to start. And when I start developing myself, when I start getting better, and when I start thinking about how I'm going to get better, I felt like I knew that it's going to carry on. It's going to be year on, so that I felt like, you know what, there's no pressure of me, you know what, this year it didn't work out, I'm going to start all over again. No, it was just a continuity. And I felt like over the last 4 years, I felt that way. I've continued on in terms of the things I needed to work on personally. So that's the way I see it, and that's the way we should go about it. You can start any time of the year. You can even start that short-term goal of 3 months in November and work your way throughout the other year, and just measure yourself on that basis. And when you measure yourself on that basis, and you know that you have a long-term view, then things work out fine, and you're able to do things in the way that you can able to keep up. You know, things like, you're always going to have setbacks anyways. You're always going to have moments where you're going to be disappointed because you've not followed through. But when you put less pressure on yourself, you're more able to kind of like get back up and just continue with this thing, with the things that you felt like you set yourself out for. And I think that's the way to go about it. And Rome was not built in a day, like they say. And baby steps is the key. And then the key for self-improvement, the key for you to improve your life is consistency. And consistency doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that it has to be done every day. It's baby steps, you know. There's a comment I had read something a week ago or a few days ago, you know, forget about the intensity, you know, think about just the consistency of things. Think about what impact you're going to have in the long term. Forget about intensity. And when I mean intensity means that just like now. Forget about now, and think about how you can be better in the long term. For me personally, like, I have so much stuff that I'm working on, and I'm not putting pressure on myself, but I know that these things I want to get better at. I know that this year there's some certain goals I want to reach, but you know what? I'm not putting too much pressure on me, but I'm going to be working towards it. I'm going to set objectives, aims, and targets, but I'm going to take them baby steps, you know, do one thing at a time and not put too much pressure. And then people who obviously have got so much on in their lives, you know, you're married, you've got kids, you've got different businesses that you're running. I want to appeal to you, just like, you know, take it easy. Don't get burnt out before the year starts. Don't get anxiety, don't get depressed before the year starts, and just make sure that you are actually taking good care of yourself and making sure that, you know what, it's okay. do things smaller at the time, and making sure that, you know what, there's no rush in life. Make sure that you're actually seeing things from the perspective of gratitude, and for every little wins that you have, make sure that you're celebrating those wins. It doesn't matter if you set yourself a target of going to the gym 5 days a week, and in 1 week you manage to do it twice, and that's the first time you've done it twice. Celebrate that win, because it's those little steps that when you celebrate those little baby steps, it will give you more motivation for you to get better. And I'm using the gym as an example. It's everything else, you know, if it's picking up a book, reading a book, really one chapter a week or something like. Celebrate those little baby steps. Do not put too much pressure on yourself, and do not look to others. If others are way back in their goals and way further up in their goals, and you're way back, do not watch them. Just stick to your lane, stay in that little space of yours, and just continue working gradually. And let me tell you, before you know it, 2-3 years, you'll be achieving those goals that you set yourself, that you felt like you needed to do in 1 year, but you ended up doing it in 7 or 8 years. But when you put less pressure, you achieve those in a little more. I hope you're encouraged by this, and then hopefully you kind of like, you know, understand what I'm trying to say. But if you've got any questions, if you've got anything more to say, if you have any questions, put some comments down below in the channel, and, you know, send me a message, whatever it is. My email is going to be on below as well, and just, you know what, let me know what it is that you want to talk about in this period, in this season we are in, and definitely I'll respond to you, and I'll be looking at those comments. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more content, and we're going to be having various conversations regards to men, mental health, whatever it is. Like I said, nothing is off the table. Stay tuned. Peace.